Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Linda, you are on. Happy Wednesday. Have I got the right time? I must have the right time. Follow through question. Did I post it in the group? There we go. Heather's on. I must have posted it in. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Wednesday, right? Good to see you. Welcome back. Um, what a beautiful day. I think we are all in a little bit of a scramble today, getting ready at home. It's gonna be a fun sort of follow through to the weekend. The kids are already off, believe it or not. Wednesday, Thursday. Well, they were off yesterday because they were sick. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're getting there. Remember, we said at Halloween, as soon as your foot hits that Halloween date, it is a landslide. You have no more footing. It is a landslide to the new year. It's unbelievably true. So in this episode, I was sort of vacillating what I wanted to do because I wound up those British rag rug books, which I really loved looking at, was super inspired by. And there's just this one day kind of sitting in between now and a major holiday in the US. So I thought I would return to our beloved friend, the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, Crystal, good to see you. Hello. Good dusting of snow. How fun is that? Oh, man. Um, I bet we're going to get it soon too, and the kids cannot wait. The thing that worries me about this year is because all of the kids have computers now. I don't know where that money came from, but they all are on their computers. I don't think they get snow days anymore here. It's like a crime, but I don't think that they do. I think they just say, "Oh, get on your computer and let's go." But I hope they have snow days because as a result of having no snow days last year, not one. Of course, it was like, 2020, we had other problems happening, but we didn't get out to go sledding once because all that sledding always sort of corresponded with school days, and they were in school. And then when they get out, as you know, at 4 o'clock, it's dark out. So I hope that doesn't happen this year. I hope that we get more of a return to normal life in more than one way, not just, going to events and stuff, but having the kids be in a routine where they can look forward to that early morning in the dark, creeping into the room and saying, "It's a snow day, stay in bed." Because that's an awful loss, don't you think? Like to humanity. Oh, good, everybody's popping on now. Kirsten, great to see you. Christine, great to see you. I got your message about sending to the other email address the bingo card. Remember, Friday night is bingo night. Theme food, appropriate, right? Food. So that'll be on Friday. That'll be a lot of fun. And for those of you, I try to do a small description in the Facebook group to tell you it's basically regular bingo. You get the cards in the mail, which I don't think are sent yet. I was just finalizing them and making sure there's like no repeats and stuff like that, no problems. And then you'll get the cards and you print them out before we run Friday night cocktail night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday. We look at different hooked rugs and talk about the maker, the designer, whatever, the special things about each rug. And when I make the call, you cross it off your card. So it plays like regular bingo. And beyond that, I will give you details about mini games within the big game on Friday. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Those bingo cards are up on the Facebook group, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, and they're also up at the shop site, which is ribboncandyhooking.com. So that'll be fun. Debbie, great to see you. Beautiful day in upstate New York. It is a beautiful day. I will say that. It is a beautiful day. What a perfect sort of wintry landscape today. Super bright, light sky. That winter sun. No leaves on the tree at all anymore. Nothing outside the window, just the bare branches. Reminds me of that book. I'm going to have to pick it up again. I just thought of it, by Susan Hill, the British author, who wrote that classic play, the longest running thriller of all time. Not sort of mystery, because that's the Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap, but thriller. Very startling thriller on stage called The Woman in Black. But she also wrote a lot of memoirs and introspective pieces, novels, compilations about life. And I remember in her book, I think it was called The Apple Tree, she wrote something about how comforting it was in winter. It was almost like in winter, everybody's so isolated in more ways than one, right? But you're at home and you've got your little home fires going, and everything seems so bleak outside, and life seems so far away. But because all the leaves fall off the trees, she could see right through to the neighbor's house, quite far down the street. And she thought, what a comfort turning lemons into lemonade, right? What a comfort in the winter when we don't have the beautiful lush green, and we don't have the beautiful sort of rainbow of autumn colors. Um, all the trees are down, but nonetheless, what a comforting thing to be able to see the neighbors' windows lit up through the trees way over there. And, I just loved the way she spun that to make it into something really beautiful and positive. But now that I'm looking out at the trees, I can see the neighbors right over there. It is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Carol, good to see you. Oh, Doreen, good to see you. Catherine, gorgeous day all over the place in Georgia. Beverly, good to see you. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to the U.S. people. It really is. I got to get going on my little pineapple tree. It's a very small contribution. Got some other things going that I'm buying, but that's one of the things that I'm making. And I should really get the kids involved in that too, shouldn't I? Cutting stuff up, I don't know. I'll think about it. But it's exciting. We're right on the edge of a nice, quiet holiday here. This used to be my dad's favorite holiday. He loved the getting together part of Thanksgiving, and that it didn't involve a lot of buying and spending and chaos. Although he loved that too. He was always at the mall on Christmas Eve. He loved it. He loved that energy. I have the same thing. I like to go out on Christmas Eve day. I love the hustle and bustle. I love to hear the songs in the stores and see everybody a bit frantic and maybe not at their best, but it's fun. The energy is good on those days, But tomorrow, Thanksgiving, is more like a quiet holiday. I don't think I'll run a coffee time tomorrow. I couldn't think of any great ideas. That one from last year I thought was quite good, the Norman Rockwell episode I did last year on Thanksgiving. But I think we're going to head over to my sister's a little on the earlier side tomorrow, and maybe she'll have out that hooked runner thing that I made her. She had it on the mantle last year. Maybe she'll put that out again. That was nice with the kids' hands like this. I traced around the kids' hands just on a piece of burlap. Yes, burlap. And then I hooked them as little turkeys, right? It was super, super fun and easy project. So I hope you're all going to have, if you're celebrating tomorrow, a wonderful holiday. I know you will. I hope you will. But today, let's do first things first. I'm gonna write the description of the dye class that's coming up. It's going to be the pre-recorded dye class. It'll be available. I'm recording it this weekend, anytime after like the beginning of December, right? It'll run right through for eternity. And there are 4 different palettes that are there as drop-down boxes. It's very hard to put all the colors together because I haven't fully decided. I'm going to decide this weekend. But just for your information, because I know a lot of people have signed up for it already, the Country Squire palette is like traditional colors. So cranberries, navies, sage green, evergreen, grays, traditional browns, traditional palette. And the New Year's Eve palette, as you can imagine, is brights. So bright blue, bright pink, bright everything, and black, night sky. So it's a bright palette. All of them have 10 colors. So they all have many colors within them, but just the sort of overall character of the palette. And the Christmas papers, as in wrapping papers, is Christmas colors. So different reds, different greens, some pinks, maybe a vintage blue. That was big in mid-century Christmas color. Mostly a Christmas palette plus your like whites and darks. And the 4th one was, Winter Wonderland. So that is a calm, sort of neutral wintertime palette. Whites, blues, some greens for trees, and then some basic traditionals too. So a little bit of brown, a little bit of rust. So those are the 4 color palettes, but I'll add that to the description of the class if you're interested in doing that. And like I say, the kit comes with 10 stockings, nylon stockings, and 10 colors. So when I say like 3 or 4 colors, it's going to be much more than that, with lots of opportunities to do a lot of colorful stuff should you want to. Every pack will have a lot of diversity. Oh, you too, Christine. Thank you. So that's coming up. And I think for December, I'm going to I'll probably run it right between Christmas and New Year. I was going to skip this month for the Design Like series, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it. I'm going to run it. I'm going to run a class this month. I don't like to break a routine even during a busy month because I feel like I'm going to get out of the hang of it kind of thing. It's too easy to do these days. So for the month of December, I was really torn about designing like what, right? We just ran tavern signs last week. That was a great class. And we've done quite a few fine artists who are wonderful and inspirational. And for December, I was really struggling because I was thinking like designing like Thomas Kincaid, like designing like who. And then I thought, you know what we're going to do? Designing like Klimt. Because I did the Klimt Kiss as a kit last February, right? And it was one of the most popular, if not the most popular kits that I've put out so far. Designing like Klimt because Klimt to me is so metallic, so confetti, so abstract, so electric. And I thought, you know, holidays into New Year, all that sort of bling, right? All the bling that he brings, all the shapes and colors could be really good for this time of year, a celebratory time of year. So I thought, let's do that. This month will be Design Like Klimt. And I will put the dates together after I finish coffee time. That's one of my this afternoon projects. But like I said, it'll be right in that gap between holidays. If you are at a loose end for something to do and you have any interest in working on Designing Like Klimt, I put the class up and then I send a file to the people who sign up with designs that are inspired by Klimt, shapes, his sort of tropes, his go-to tricks. And we use those to do a series of exercises and games in the class to get us going with creating our own designs that are in the vein of Klimt. Klimt is copyright free, but you can copy Klimt. This class is about designing like him and identifying all the little tricks that he does and incorporating that into your work and your original designing. Very fun, low pressure class. So, speaking of food, glorious food, the swatch kit for this month, right? I'm here today on this color, which is, actually it's quite different. I'm wearing leisure wear today, and I'm proud to say I have jeans on the bottom, I promise. I normally have the matching top to this velour outfit I got at TJ Maxx, and I have to admit I have been wearing them in public together. So this needs to stop. Obviously, this needs to stop. This is squarely leisure wear and meant for pajama times, and I have been wearing it all the time. So I'm getting a little bit comfy already. I'm thinking that perhaps tomorrow I will be wearing this with the matching magenta velour bottom, just for the stretch factor, because I'm anticipating a marathon of food from the pineapple to dessert. The pineapple is like all the meat sticking out of it, right? Not really pineapple. I'm just going for the gold. Big food weekend. So our swatch set of the month, food, glorious food. And today we are looking at Brookfield red wine sponges, right? So this is one of the recipes. Just to recap, this whole series for this month, 35, an extra chubby swatch set. All of these colors are inspired by foods and vintage cookbooks. And today, this one is inspired by the recipe I'm about to share with you, Brookfield wine sponge cakes. It's a beautiful, soft cranberry, raspberry type color, right in between. And that came from my favorite book. I have all four of these four treasuries. I'm not going to the same one each time. There's four of them. But I particularly love this one. Laura, great to see you. Good morning in Idaho. This is the Brookfield Inn. Now, this is in the Northeast, in Brookfield, Massachusetts. I was confused. I was thinking it was Brookfield, Connecticut. I don't know if I've been to Brookfield, Mass. I'm wondering where that is now. I am confused, aren't I? But in any case, the Brookfield Inn. Many people, I wonder if it's still there. Do you know? Many people, famous people, have been entertained here. Among them, Calvin Coolidge, Franklin Roosevelt. Of course, Roosevelt's summer home was near here in New York State, near Carmel, New York, right? And Calvin Coolidge was from, where was he from? Plymouth, Vermont, but he lived in Northampton, Mass for a while. So I wonder if Brookfield is near Northampton, which is near the Berkshires in Western Mass. Interesting. I'll have to check this whole thing out. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, supper served here. And this is what it looks like. And I really, truly hope, like yesterday's inn, I hope it's still there. It looks like somebody's home, doesn't it? Isn't that super charming? But you know, like we were saying in our tavern classes, these early coaching inns, in hospitality inns in general, were really people's houses. You couldn't distinguish them. That's why they needed the tavern signs, because you really couldn't distinguish between a rich person's house and an inn, because they were the same architecture and the same size. Interesting, isn't it? Aileen, beautiful day in Toronto. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And Kirsten says, are the dyes for the nylons a different kind of dye than the wool dyes? No. They are the same, and that's a great question. So the nylon is going to dye with the same dyes as, I wish I had them handy. I put them up on our site quite a few times. That video that Jocelyn, my daughter, did, squirting, those are the same as the wool dyes. So those are acid dyes. Most of the dyes that I use are from Dharma Trading, although I also like Prochem, and I also like Cushing. I struggle with packets of dye because I feel the chance of it getting in the air and getting where it's not supposed to be is more than 100% if that's possible. So I tend to favor the companies that do the screw off lids, and I send screw off lids and powder that's already in squirt bottles so that you never have to actually deal with opening something that might turn into an atomic cloud, toxic cloud, if you see what I mean. But yeah, they are the same dyes, and that's a good question because when we're talking about dyeing other things, for example, one of the things that comes up often in conversation is velvet. Obviously, cotton velvet is different than stretch velvet. Any kind of a mix or a synthetic, you cannot use the same dyes. But with nylon, you can. You can use the same acid dyes that you would use for dyeing wool. So that works great. But it's a very good question because you know, sometimes you get some kind of a fiber or you find something at the thrift store and you attempt to dye it with the dyes you already have, which are meant for wool. And if it has any kind of synthetic in it, there's no way that it's dyeing. You could leave it in there for a week rotting, and there's no way it's changing any color other than like possibly pastel pink, right? Pulling that out. Pink always strikes fast in dye water. But yeah, same dye. So that is really nice because if you already have a little collection of dyes going and you want to do the stocking thing, or you want to buy the stockings aside from the class, they will dye with the dyes you already have. So that is exciting. That is exciting. We're going to do a lot more with dyeing in 2022. I'm going to do a lot more with natural dyes, and I'm going to do a lot more with different brands of dyes that we hardly ever talk about. So we'll bring that up more in December, but I want to show you some other brands that I think are really wonderful, that are possible to get online or depending on where you are in the world. There's a brand in Australia that I really love. But we'll talk about all that in the new year and we'll talk about dyeing with things that are not dangerous to dye with. Like I've done videos with the food coloring and Kool-Aid and different things like that. Silk tie dyeing, of course. We'll talk about all that stuff for people who are kind of tiptoeing into the water, thinking about dyeing as a sideline to your hooking and your punching. But yeah, that'll be a fun thing to look forward to. Debbie says, one of my favorite places is the old public house in Sturbridge Village. Me too. I know that place, and it is super fun. It is super fun in Sturbridge, Mass. I've always thought it would be fun to have Thanksgiving there one year. Oh, I totally agree with that. That would be a great place. You know, you're pulling on my heartstrings because I'm sure I've said this before, but every Thanksgiving until my dad passed away, we always ate at Concord at the Colonial Inn. That's where the shot heard around the world happened at the beginning of the American Revolution, right next to Lexington. So outside of Boston, beautiful old town, and this beautiful inn in the center of town called the Colonial Inn. And that town is the opening scene for Murder, She Wrote, right? That's supposed to be set in Maine, but it's such a beautiful, idyllic town. They used it for Murder, She Wrote. So it's in like every episode. But, you know, beautiful town, nice food, old taverns. There's a lot of this stuff in New England, and I hope where you are too. It is so atmospheric to go to these old places and think about. I always think about, sometimes we go to Longfellow's Wayside Inn, right? And he wrote a poem about the Wayside Inn, one of his long narrative poems. We go to the Wayside Inn every time we go to Concord, which now that my dad's gone, we go a week or two after Thanksgiving. Because it's, number one, too much with the kids to keep them in the dining room, and number two, it's a bit sad because he's not there. So it's nice to do different things now, but we still go once a year, and we go to the Wayside Inn, and there's a giant hearth, right, with they offer all of these colonial era cocktails. And I'll tell you, because people really couldn't drink water in those days, right? Because the water was not safe, it was not pure. A lot of disease went through water, and they didn't understand why or how that was, but they understood that water made you sick. But things that were not pasteurized, what word am I looking for? Like beer, what word am I looking for? You know, when liquid is processed, my brain's not working that well. Those things were safer. So people were drinking a lot. And when you order these old drinks at these old pubs, they are like, you know, so powerful, it's unbelievable. Like incredibly overpowering, even for someone who loves a nice a nice drink. They are so strong. But the atmosphere in these old places, thinking about all the people who have stood before these sagging fireplaces with these old hearths and leaned against the walls, and it's romantic and it's inspiring, and it's just so nice for this cozy time of year, isn't it? I don't think about those things in the summer, but I also think about them a lot this time of year. Fermented, that's it. Thank you. Absolutely fermented. Wayside Inn, Christine said, us kids swore that Longfellow's eyes in his portrait were following us. You were watching too much Scooby-Doo. Just kidding. Maybe they were. How fun, though. Yeah, that's a beautiful old inn. Lots of Longfellow history in Maine, too. Distilled, also, thank you. And it's funny because I'm going to stop, total tangent, but because people who were coming to the U.S., right, on the Mayflower, they had a crazy amount of beer. That's one of the reasons that one of the main poles broke on the voyage over, was because of the weight, the overcrowding of people, but also barrels of beer was considerable amount of weight because they needed it to make the voyage, and they didn't know how long before they would land and be able to figure out how to drink anything and stay alive. So, it was all, they understood you couldn't drink salt water, and you couldn't drink like stagnant water. And one of the first things that people did when they got over here and got set up, they started building mills, of course, to mill wood, to build houses and make fires and survive. But they also started building mills, at least around areas like Cape Cod, to try to desalinate water, like take the salt out of water so that they could drink it. So there were lots of ideas in those early years about how you could get a drink without getting intoxicated, because that was a huge taboo. Even though there was so much drinking, you could not be visibly drunk, or you'd be out there like this next Sunday in the stocks while everybody threw tomatoes at your face, like for real. Funny times, huh? Courtney, good to see you. Anita, good to see you. Everybody's popping on. Brookfield took us on a big detour. I'm still dying to know, is the Brookfield Inn in Brookfield, Massachusetts still there? Dying to know. So we are talking about this lovely color of wine/raspberry kind of a color, more toward wine. Brookfield Inn wine sponges. So if you're making this for Thanksgiving, you're going to need 6 eggs separated, 6 tablespoons of sugar, 6 tablespoons of flour. 6 is the magic number. A grated rind of lemon. So that sounds very easy. 666. That's not the devil number, right? That's 999. Now it's got me thinking. Whip egg yolks, add sugar and mix thoroughly. Sift in flour and mix well. Fold in stiffly beaten egg whites. Add your lemon rind. Then drop batter by teaspoons into a deep fat and fry until golden brown. Spoonfuls into deep fat, and fry. So this is a healthy recipe. And fry until golden brown. I mean, anything dropped in deep fat is going to be wonderful to eat, isn't it? That's why I'm wearing my velour outfit tomorrow. Remove and let drain on brown paper. I wonder if that's like parchment paper. They may be kept for several weeks in a tightly lidded jar. So these Brookfield Inn wine sponges have a good life in them, right? This is making me think, does it come out like a fruit cake, that kind of a thing? But 666, that's an easy recipe to remember. That's an easy recipe to execute. And it sounds absolutely wonderful, doesn't it? I'm hungry. I'm ready. Joy. Oh, hello. Everybody's saying hello. So I'm feeling festive. That goes without being said. But I could not find the episode, the issue of the Wall Street Journal that we were on. It was volume 1, issue 4, and I could not find it to save my life. So straight to your thighs, Courtney. I'm sure that's not true. Oh, you're kidding, Aileen. Just checked on the internet. The inn is still going. There we go. So the Brookfield Inn in Mass. Let's make a date to meet. There. I wonder if they still have their wine sponges. And then the one that we did yesterday, no, it wasn't yesterday. Yesterday I think we did the tropical salad, the one that was in Cedar Key, Florida. The one the day before was in Vermont. What was called the Rutledge Inn or something like that. That one was open too. I'm going to have to look that one up because that one also sounded interesting. We might have a little trip evolving here. So because I couldn't find the other issue, I had to start with, we skipped one and we'll return to it another time, I'm going to start with the Wall Street Journal, Volume 1, Number 1, Volume 1, Number 1. I'm holding the wrong one. Nope, I'm holding the wrong one. Where are the ones that I need? That is scary. That is scary. Okay, hang on. Am I losing my mind? Knock, knock, who's there? Your mind. Are you kidding me? What did I do? Oh, here they are. Don't mind me. You know what? This is what happened. I'm not as far gone as you think. This is Volume 1, Issue 1. This is Volume 2, Issue 1. So you can see there's a little bit of a similarity here. I'm not completely off my chain just yet. They're quite similar. It's this character that they call Max, that they were doing, I guess, within the group, within the publication, the Wall Street Journal, and people were hooking it simultaneously, and then they were turning them in, and that was the photo that I used today, was all these Maxes, and they're three-dimensional. All these Maxes kind of on parade. And they're also different. I mean, don't you love seeing pieces that people have hooked the same design, and they're all different. Look at these bright ones down here. Penny's not on, but she'd be going cat crazy right now. She loves her cats. But I thought that was super cool. I used that for the thumbnail today. So let's look at what's in this issue, Volume 2, Number 1. So this issue was not as thrilling to me as the one right after it, but I'm still going to tell you what's in it just in case you're interested. This is a smaller one for whatever reason. It came at the beginning of the year, the second year that they were in publication. It starts to not have all of the features that we were originally looking at, and I missed a couple of them. I missed them in terms of I longed for them and they weren't here in this particular issue. So we're going to see how that plays out. So table of contents, it goes right into how to hook, right? They do this in every episode, and it's probably a very handy thing for people. And then they go into their recipe in this issue, which is hot kielbasa dip. Fantastic. Now, it's not the same as before. Remember before they did like, it was a specific person. They've kind of veered away from that already at the first issue of the second year and just done a kind of a general recipe. They're saying it's from Jody Willard in Springfield, Virginia. And Jody is Bonnie's, who's publishing the magazine, youngest daughter of 3. So all in the family kind of a thing. So they're making some changes in the second year. It's still a beautiful magazine. Still a lot of long sort of editorial writing, and I skipped over a lot of it for this episode today because a lot of it was very long-winded, and I thought, I know a lot of you are in the process of acquiring Wall Street Journal, so you'll probably read these quite long articles, but they are all lovely, just long. And then it goes back into dyeing, teaching you a little bit about dyeing. This particular issue for me, just this one, was like, I don't want to say I didn't love it. I love all of them. But it had less in it for me that really hit me in terms of inspiration than all of the other issues that I've seen. So this one was more, it seemed like it was more like promoting business, and the Primitive Miss Prim in this issue is about the romance of rug camp. She's talking about going to rug camp, and there's a lot about taking classes, and oh, I took a class with somebody who was McGowan certified, and a lot of this kind of in my mind, which is always addled, feeding into this idea of like, oh, you want to make sure that you go to rug camp, you want to take a class with this person because they are certified and they know how to do things the right way. And it was the first time that I got that impression from this magazine, because they usually go the other route, and it's like, do what you're doing and keep doing it. You're doing great. Keep going. This one was more, it seemed like it was promoting specific companies more. So it struck me as being less sort of romantic and inspirational. But it remained sweet in the way that it has all of these patterns repeating. Oh, Aileen, it's a B&B and not dinners anymore. So definitely no wine sponges there. But it's a beautiful place. It'd be great to check it out. I'm going to check it out for sure. It's not that far away, I'm sure. Kirsten, you have to hook Max. Yeah, I wonder if Max is out there, right? It's going to be, let me see if they'll tell us. I think he came up, let me see if I can figure it out with this issue. I wonder if they gave Max in this first, I don't think it was one of the patterns. I think it was a pattern that someone was selling. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice. There he is, Ivy. Okay, Max belonged to Ivy Cottage Rugs, designer of Max. Here he is. So Max was featured in issue 1, number 1. He was featured on this page of rug hooking advertisements. And here he is, and it says Ivy Cottage Rugs. I think we established that they're not there anymore. So it could be a hard one to hunt down. This always happens, doesn't it? This is one of these personal crusade things that I really want to be sure that all of these older patterns of people in the 20th century, I mean, the earlier ones are safe, right? They're McGowan safe. But the ones in the 20th century, particularly the ones in the 80s, 90s, they are not safe. Companies get bought, things shift, someone owns something, sits on it from now until death. Decades go by, and nobody's able to hook a pattern that they really, really connect with and love. That drives me crazy. I'm hoping this isn't one of these situations, but it might be. Ivy Cottage Rugs, designer of Max freestanding cat shown on front cover, pattern 11 by 25. It was $30 back in the day, monk's cloth only, comes with color picture. So you could order it through the Wall Street Journal, which we know is defunct. If anybody manages to follow this thought through with this Max thing and then you get some joy from it or you find the pattern, please let me know because I'd like to tell everybody else. Oh, hello, Martha. Thank you so much. I know you've already celebrated Thanksgiving. Thank you for your well wishes, Crystal. All the need for certification. I feel pressure to do this myself. I'm like just a voice of whatever in these conversations because, Crystal, you are so good and you're already teaching. You are so good and you're already teaching. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel, I have been certified in so many things in my life. Rug hooking is not one of them. And I just feel like if you are a person like Crystal and you have so much style and you already know what you're doing, that is good enough. I just don't see the need to spend literally thousands of dollars and be away from Vera from like days getting certified just to say, look at the feather in my cap. I don't know. Everybody feels differently about this, but I feel that the way that you evolve as a maker and as a teacher is a natural evolution, and it can't be something that's forced into 5 days at some random chain hotel in some godforsaken city that you otherwise would never want to go to. Maybe that was a little judgmental, but you know what I mean. Maybe that was too much. Sorry. Nothing against people who are certified, of course. I know it's not for me. So, and I never like push people to do things that are not for them, and this is included in that. So hooked bunnies. So a lot of things change in this first issue of the new year, but hooked things, punch things, and beautiful patterns remain the same. Lots of sweet patterns, hand in heart, right? Hands to work, hearts to God. All these very sort of charming hooked crow on a strawberry. They always give the cutest patterns. You see the rest of them here sitting on a strawberry, the little crow. So this remains the same. Thank you, Courtney. All of these really charming patterns that are always free. That one was from Buttermilk Basin. Wool Street Anywhere, USA. Remember, they kept this feature going with looking at a store. I'm almost afraid to ask. Rock Creek Rugs in Fairview, Kansas, run by Marilyn Schmidt. Marilyn Schmidt became interested in rug hooking many years ago after seeing a hooked rug of her good friend Minerva Cannabis, or Cabanas. That's a toughie. Talk about how she got into it, but her shop was called. This is cute. That's Marilyn and her shop. Rock Creek Rugs. So that's another one. I wonder if that one is still there. I hope so. It's been a little while, since this magazine was published. And then they do their feature. They maintain this feature called Pillow Talk. That's super sweet. In every episode, in every issue, they show us a different kind of pillow. For people who are done with wall art or they don't want to do wall art, they show you how to do a different pillow project. And in this issue, it's going to be this character, patterned by Barn Cat Primitives, hooked by Tina Eckerman. Looks maybe like a scarecrow or a Raggedy Ann type of a doll. Very sweet pillow, and you can see around the edges here, they are doing Prati. And of course you can hook Prati. You don't necessarily need to use a Prati tool. I recommend a Prati tool when you are doing your whole piece in Prati. Oh, I just put up the Prati video last night using that very rustic, wow, lots of triggers today. Hold on, this is me against the scarecrow at this point. There he goes, taunting me. There we go. And here's the Prati pieces. I put up a Prati video yesterday. I was using the primitive Prati tool that you push through from the back. Strips like that, right? Just push them through, and then you get the whole reverse side of it since you're working the back. Prati, all these pieces standing up like this. But of course, when it's not a frame, and it's the whole piece, it's very pixelated and shaggy and quite lovely, very old-timey, you know. And I'll do another video using the spring tool, right? Because that you work from the front. You're pulling pieces up in that case. But there's going to be a lot more on Prati coming up. So they're giving us all this typical stuff. They always give a nice dye recipe. And this one is Jack Pine dye. So she's talking about dyeing in this beautiful pine color and over dyeing. So always lots of information in every episode. You know, and then showing interesting things like that are rag rug related, but this would fall into the category of a penny rug with that, hello, good to see you, with that blanket stitch going around all of these wool applique pieces, right? So this is another form of rag rug making, super charming, but using a needle instead of a hook or a prod or a punch, right? Who cares what's in your hand as long as you're enjoying what you're doing? An article by Phyllis Lindblade, Rug Hooking, a New Community for the 21st Century. And it's talking about, again, the Pearl McGowan certification program. It seems like a fairly heavy plug for it, but it's talking about ATHA and GILS and how to get into it. It is a helpful article, how to get into it, but this magazine came out in 2003. So it's been a little while, and things have even changed since then. The whole landscape is a moving target, isn't it? And then Eric Sandberg, who contributes regularly to the Wall Street Journal, does a little piece about classes that he's attended with certified McGowan teacher Eric. Eric Sandberg is the certified McGowan teacher. Classes in Gainesville, Georgia, and things that had happened. He's talking about recapping his class with these 33 students and things that they did, project they worked on. Very fun reading, very sweet and fun reading. And then I'm a hooker. I'm a hooker. Remember, it's like a name. I am a hooker. There's still, Crystal says there's still a Facebook group called Rock Creek Rugs, but it looks like the business sold all its stock in June. That would need confirmation. Well, that's a good lead. That's a great lead. Interesting. Okay. We need some more rug hooking stores, huh? And as someone with a rug hooking business, I'm still going to say we need a lot more rug hooking stores. We got to get my eye just started twitching when I said that. We got to get back on the map. I'm a hooker, MIA. This article that she did in this episode is called "That I'm a Hooker Says That We All Could Have a Case of PUDDS." So, do you need another diagnosis? I know I don't. I got 2 this morning. But this is an interesting article, and we all call our unfinished projects by different names. So this is how she starts out. She says, as shocking as this news is, it's true. Some of us have come out of our closet with it. Some of us still hide the evidence. We stoop to the lowest levels of hiding our PUDDS under our beds, in our closets, and we don't even share the fact with any of our hooking friends or family. Uh-oh. This is very benign, believe me. So what is a PUDDS, you might be asking? Very simple. It is Patterns Under Designer Distress Syndrome. So it is all of the patterns in your life that grow from every hook-in, new pattern book, etc., and they sit waiting and yearning to be hooked. Yet the whole time, they grow faster than rabbits. Now that is so true. I won't read this whole article, but she talks about not feeling guilty about all of these unfinished projects. I've heard them more often called UFOs, unfinished object. But everybody calls them something different, right? And we all have them. Whether you go to a class or a hook-in or whatever, you buy something new, you get going, you're on fire, and then you're off again. The point she's making is don't feel guilty about that because it's just the way that we are. This goes back to that thing that we always talk about, that each one of us is different in terms of creative versus technical. And I think the more creative you lean, the more technical you are, you probably are more inclined to finish the project and realize all the parts of it that you're looking forward to tackling. But when you are less technical, more creative, I think, at least in terms of what I do and I can relate to, I start working on a project, and as soon as I put the first colors in, my brain is already at a gallop thinking about the next project. And it's very hard to stick with the first one. It's not a character flaw, I hope. It's not a weird sort of lack of integrity and consistency. It's just that you are excited by the prospect of starting a project, sometimes more than you are excited to execute the project. And that's nothing to be guilty about. A lot of us feel that way. And it just becomes a question of when, if ever, do you feel like returning to the project? Because it's no fun returning to a project that you have no love or passion for at that moment. You might get a new passion for it in 6 months or 6 years, and who cares, right? As long as you're busy and happy in the meantime, who cares? Oh yeah, is this live? It is live. Carrie, good to see you. It is. Sable stash accumulated beyond life expectancy. Oh, okay. So Karen has another sort of anagram, sable, stash accumulated beyond life expectancy. That is quite funny. I have a lot of sables, not the kind you can wear in the winter either. How funny is that? Nancy Thompson, Rock Creek Rugs, now known as Hearts and Hair Rugs in Lenexa, Kansas. Fantastic, Nancy. Thank you. So hearts and hairs, like bunnies, hearts and hair, singular rugs in Lenexa, Lenexa, Kansas. Fantastic. Thank you. That is exciting. I'm going to have to check that out this afternoon. And Beverly says, I keep mine in a tote that I call, oh, finish me tote. You know, we all do this, right? Very few of us don't do this. It's the way you are. You should always work on a project that you are enjoying working on. You cannot and you must not force yourself to work on projects that are not hitting you hard in the heart at that moment. Life is too short, right? So all of those funny names that we have for those things, it's good to accumulate them, and maybe we can get a little dictionary going, right, of rug hooking terms. That would be fun, actually. Carol says, I'm totally someone who loves to start new things, but taking my time to finish. Yep, that is funny. We're all different. Kathleen, hey, happy Thanksgiving. You will never outlive your wool stash or your patterns. Good for you. Good for you. You just keep adding to the stash, right? Get nicely ensconced. That's what I say. Amen. Yeah, we all have different philosophy. You know, in depending on what kind of person you are, some people can't feel comfortable or happy starting a new project until they've completed the last project, right? So we're all so different, and I think we can all identify with each other's woes. Speaking of which, before I forget, if you are in the Connecticut area, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Donna Swanson at Whispering Hill, right, the rug hooking store in Woodstock, Connecticut, there is a hook-in this weekend. Check her website, Whispering Hill, Connecticut. I love her, and I love that store. You know I love that store. I'm always promoting it and posting pictures. I need a break, so I'm taking some sanity time this weekend after Thanksgiving, and I'm still working. I'm just working on the book project, but I don't feel like traveling this weekend. So I won't be there, and I just want you to know that in case you're looking for me to say hi. I won't be there this time, but everybody else I think probably will. And what a great group of girls. What a lot of fun to walk into a beautiful store like that, get some supplies, get some information, socialize, and make friends. So that's this coming weekend, but you'll have to check her website for the details. So what else did I want to say? Let's see. Oh, folk art penny pig. Okay, so they're actually showing you, the penny rug pattern that we just looked at. It's not this configuration, but all of the pieces. So this Wall Street Journal was so good for giving out free patterns to people. I mean, we need a lot of that. We need a lot more of that. People sharing. I should be putting some patterns up. I'll put some patterns up over the holidays for free, for sure. Because you're probably spending a lot on other stuff, and if you want to work on some new projects, I'll put some patterns up. Absolutely. So this isn't my favorite episode because I feel like we were missing some of the features that I have grown to love. I'm not sure that they had all the quotes in this episode. Remember how they do the the little quotes, little excerpts and lines and poetry. Yeah, I don't think they did that in this one. But yeah. So you know what? Next time we're together, and it probably won't be Monday because I have a great episode planned for Monday, and of course Friday is bingo night. But we will return to the Wall Street Journal and try to do them chronologically. So the next issue we'll be looking at Volume 2, Number 2, which would be July 2003. And this issue I really, really love. So I love them all. But that one, yeah, I was missing some things that I really liked, and who knows why. Who cares? They're all great. But we'll look at this one next. But starting on Monday, I have a different show, kind of a surprise for you. I want to get into doing some just different and more varied things too in anticipation of this book that I've been working on and will continue to work on that won't be out till later next year. But I want to start heading in the direction of not just looking at rug hooking and punching, but also pradi, also applique, penny rugs, quilly, all kinds of different things, and really locker hooking, right, felting, everything. Looking at all those different kinds of rugs as possibilities for creating sort of mutant crossovers with the piece you're working on, or just looking forward to trying something different, giving your arm a rest if you're used to doing this all the time and you want to try something, a different motion. Try a different kind of rug making, right? Give your body a rest, your physical body a rest, and your head from doing the same thing. So nice to try different techniques. So we'll move a little bit toward that and toward talking about dyeing more over the next few weeks. So, and Kathleen says, by the way, patterns I will never hook. I flip them over and draw ones I like. Money saver. That's a great idea. Because, you know, if you do have a pattern that for whatever reason you fell out of love with, or you tried and it you didn't like something about it, you couldn't put your finger on it, but you know you're not going to do it, you might as well use that backing, right? I mean, you might as well use it. Backing is super expensive. You might as well use it and do something else with it. That's super practical. You end up with what in the art world they would call a palimpsest, which is like layers, right? There's a picture, but there's a different picture on top. So mysterious. And interesting, but yeah, why not? And Laura says, I usually work on more than one at a time. That way when I get tired of one, you can go to another. That's so true, isn't it? And it's just like books on the bedside table if you're a big reader. Sometimes you just don't feel like it. And you know, the more I think about it, right, so you can tell I was talking to like a therapist this morning. The more I think about it, the more I realize that, I mean, I'm turning 50 in February, that life has been like a long stretch of school, people telling you what to do. Not parents, because my mother is the most wild and free person, and that part's been great. But, you know, jobs, school, you go from thing to thing to thing, and you always have someone sort of standing over you with an expectation of what you should be doing. And you tend to do it, right? Because you go along with life, right? That's the way it works. There's rules. But I think I'm finding the older that I get, even just relating it to rug hooking and projects, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this. Psh, put it away, on to the next, and just separating myself from feelings of guilt or, oh, agonizing. I wish I was the kind of person that could see things through. Not a metaphor for life, is it? Just don't like that pattern anymore. Moving on. I mean, it's so good to get to a point with everything where you can just say, not for me right now. No thanks. Going to do this instead. Because that's, I think, how you keep your sanity, how you keep your energy, how you keep your inspiration going and flowing and all of that, right? You always have to, it's like in the airplane, right? You have to serve yourself first. You have to bring down the mask and put it over your own face, and then you can worry about whether the people around you are like gasping for air. But if you're gasping for air too, it's going to make 3 corpses, isn't it? It's not going to be good for anybody. You got to do the things that make you happy in the moment, right? And then think about the other things for another time. They're not going to go anywhere, are they? They're probably zipped up under the bed, like literally. And Kathleen says, you will, I hope so. I hope I love my 50s. I'm not worried about this at all. I feel, the therapist says I'm fine. I feel fine. I'm not worried about my age at all, but I am worried about having put on 40 pounds during COVID. That I would like to change. Liberating. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. There's a lot of good things happening, and I'm so excited that as a group we're growing, and we all have this. We all have this, not just coffee time, but the group and the project. And you'll see that as soon as I'm finished with this writing project, as soon as we hit the new year and this is done, deadlines are over, I'm going to be super energized again and have so many new patterns, new projects for us to work on together, new things you could take or not take. things to sign up for, things to do along with me, tons of things to do together again. And I have been missing that, and I am looking forward to doing that again, things together. So a lot more of that in 2022, right, for all of us. And making new friends, of course. The more we know ourselves, the more powerful we become. That's true, Carol. And I will say it's no more therapist talk after this, but the therapist said, do you feel like you know yourself? And I thought, what a stupid question. And then I thought, but you're right. I don't know. All of the things that you have to be. And I've been so focused for so long on being a mom, particularly with a special needs child and getting him what he needs. And then I've been working on having a business and being my own and only employee. And yeah, I don't know that I've thought about that in a long time. We hardly ever are at liberty, I think, particularly as women, to sit around thinking about ourselves. There's not a lot of time built into life for that line of thought, but maybe there needs to be. Yeah, we'll see. Metaphysical, transcendental talk, not needed during rug time, right? Anyway, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, and I'm hoping that you are too. Happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating. I'm hoping that you are with people that you love. And even if you are not, I hope that you love yourself and that you have something special planned for yourself. Even if it's just relaxing and taking time off, that is special, right? It doesn't have to be the same thing that the rest of the country's doing. It can be your thing, whatever your thing is, as long as it's a nice day. And I think Thanksgiving, by definition, is meant to be quiet, peaceful, retrospective, introspective, relaxing, right? So make sure that you're not doing like a crazy Gene Kelly American in Paris scene in the kitchen with the cupboards and the drawers and opening and shutting and where's this and where's that and dropping this. I hope that it's not that kind of day for you. I hope it's a really quiet, peaceful, happy day. And I hope that you are disgustingly full when you're done with it, because that's kind of the point. And I will see you the following day on Friday for our bingo night. Remember to get your cards, print your cards, ribboncandyhooking.com, and I will be with you at 7 p.m. to spin that wheel of fortune on Friday night. I will see you then. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.